Amanda wore Flora's old clothes and stayed busy with housework. It wasn't always like this. When Amanda's parents died in a car accident, she was only 8 years old. At the funeral, her auntie promised to take care of her. For the first few weeks in her auntie's house, things were good. She slept on a soft bed and ate at the table with them. But little by little, things changed. She was moved to a small room at the back of the house. She was given more and more chores, and soon she realized she was no longer treated like a niece. She was the house help. At school, Amanda kept to herself. She didn't tell anyone what life was like at home. Flora went to the same school, but pretended not to know her. Flora had many friends. Amanda watched. She opened the gate and saw a tall man with a neat beard and a wide smile. She knew him from long ago, Uncle Greg, a family relative who lived in another town. Her auntie and uncle welcomed him warmly. Amanda stood to the side, unsure whether to greet him or leave. But to her surprise, Uncle Greg looked at her and said, "Amanda, you've grown." He smiled kindly, and for the first time in a long while, Amanda felt noticed. Throughout his visit, Uncle Greg kept glancing at her. When she served drinks, he thanked her and quietly gave her a sweet. Later, Amanda overheard him telling her auntie and uncle, "She's a good girl. You should take care of her," and said, "Fine here, Uncle." Greg visited again. This time, he spoke to Amanda more. "You do a lot in this house," he said. "You deserve better." One afternoon after school, Amanda was walking home from the market when she heard her name. She turned and saw Uncle Greg standing beside his car. "Amanda," he called, "come here, I need to talk to you." She walked over slowly. He leaned closer and said in a low voice, "Meet me tomorrow." Amanda's heart began to beat fast. She nodded slowly, but inside she was full of questions. That night, she lay in bed thinking about his words. Something important. Alone. Tomorrow, she had no idea her life was about to change. The next afternoon. Amanda's heart was beating fast as she walked to the place Uncle Greg told her to meet him. It was a quiet spot near the end of the street, away from the busy market. He was already there, leaning against his car with a smile. "Amanda," he said warmly, "I'm glad you came." She stood a little distance from him, clutching the edge. You said you have something to give me." "Yes," he said, looking around to make sure no one was watching. Then he reached into his and pulled out a small plastic bag. Inside was a fine white powder. Amanda frowned. "What's that?" "This," he whispered, "is your way to a better life." Amanda didn't understand. "How?" Uncle Greg bent closer so only could hear. "I know how Auntie and her family treat you. They make you suffer while they enjoy everything. It's not fair. If you put this in their food, they will all. Then you will call me on this." He handed a new phone. "I will come," he continued. "We'll take care of you. You will never have to suffer again." Amanda shocked. "You want to kill them?" "If it was nothing. I care about you, Amanda. About them." Amanda's hands shook. She thought of all the times her auntie had shouted at her. She had gone to bed hungry, moments she had felt invisible. But still, the idea of killing them made her chest tighten. She didn't say no. She only nodded, tucked the bag and phone into her pocket. Spinning, Amanda lay in bed, staring at the. She imagined two paths. In one, did what Uncle Greg said. She would be free, living in comfort, finally treated with kindness. In the other, she refused. She would stay here, still doing chores, still eating last, still wearing old clothes, but No matter how she looked at it, something inside her refused to path. They had treated her badly, yes, but she didn't want them dead. By morning, Amanda had made her decision. She was going to tell the truth. The sun was already high in the sky when Amanda walked into the living room. Her auntie, uncle, and Flora were having breakfast together. They all looked up when she stepped in. Amanda's hands were shaking, but she forced herself to speak. "Auntie, I need to tell you something." Her auntie frowned. "What is it?" "Can't it wait? We're eating." "No," Amanda said, her voice trembling. "It's about Uncle Greg." The room went quiet. Even Flora stopped chewing. Amanda took a deep breath and told them everything. How Uncle Greg had stopped her on the street, how he gave her poison and a phone, and how he asked her to put the poison in their food so they would die. She explained how he promised to take care of her afterward and give her a better life. When she finished, there was silence. Her auntie's eyes filled with tears. Her uncle's face turned red with anger. Flora looked shocked, her mouth slightly open. "That man wanted us dead," her uncle said slowly, "so he could take our property." Amanda's auntie stood up from the table. "We have to call the police now." They did not waste time. The police arrived within an hour, and Amanda showed them the bag of poison and the phone. Uncle Greg was arrested the same day for attempted murder. After the police left, Amanda stood in the corner, unsure what to expect. But her auntie walked over to her and pulled her into a hug. It was the first time in years that Amanda had felt her auntie's arms around her. "I am so sorry, Amanda," she whispered. "We didn't treat you well. We will change that." From that day, life in the house was different. Amanda ate at the table with everyone. She was given new clothes. She and Flora began talking more, and slowly they became close. Amanda no longer woke up feeling like a servant, family. And though she would never forget what Uncle Greg had tried to do, she was thankful that she had chosen the right path. They lived together in peace after that, not just under one roof, but as a real family.
I fell in love with a dead woman. They warned me about love at first sight, but nobody told me it could happen with a ghost. I still remember the first time I saw her. It was a sunny Saturday morning at Mile 12 Market. I wasn't even supposed to be there. My mum had begged me to help her buy ripe plantains before heading to the mechanic. I was already fuming, pushing through the crowd, when I saw her. She stood by a wooden table, surrounded by bunches of plantain. Brown skin, soft eyes, and the kind of smile that could calm a riot. Her name tag read, Flora. She handed plantain to a customer with such grace, you'd think she was raised in a palace, not a chaotic Lagos market. And that was it. I came back the next day, and the next, pretending to forget things, onions, pepper, even toothbrush, see her again. But Flora wasn't easy. She turned me down 5 times, politely, calmly, almost like she'd seen it all before. "You're not ready," she once said. "Your heart is still noisy." I didn't care. I persisted. Snacks, helped her sell, even shielded her from market touts. Something shifted. One day she asked, "Why do you keep coming back?" And I told her the truth. "Because you make this place feel like peace." That was the day I agreed to go on a walk with me. We didn't call it a date, but it felt like one. She told me she lived with her aunt in Alapere. Loved folk music, was scared of thunder. It was a distraction. But charming about her. Days, but we were something. But that's when the dream started. It began as whispers. In my room at night, soft, chilling voices calling my name. My lights would flicker, would turn off on its own. I'd wake up drenched in sweat with mud on my feet, even though I hadn't left my bed. One night, I dreamed of Flora standing by the lagoon, barefoot, her eyes hollow. "Why did you come for me?" she asked. I woke up screaming. I tried to ignore it. I thought maybe I was just falling too hard, thinking too much. But then things got worse. My neighbor, Mama Titi, an old woman who rarely speaks, pulled me aside one morning. "That girl you walked slowly, where did you meet her?" "In the market," I replied. Her face went pale. "Which market?" "Mile 12. She just shook her head and whispered, "Ah, she's back again." That same day I returned to the market. Flora's plantain table was there, full, fresh, untouched. But Flora wasn't. I asked around. Some traders even swore they never saw anyone at that stall. One man said, "Bros, nobody they sell for there since that girl died last year." "What girl?" He looked at me strangely. "One girl like that, quiet, always selling alone. Dem say she fall for inside canal one night during rain. Her body no even complete when dem find am." My stomach dropped. "No," I whispered. "That's not possible." I showed him a drawing I had done of Flora. My art pad always had her face. The man blinked. "Nah, she be this." Since then, my life hasn't been the same. Every time I try to forget, she appears again in my dreams, in the corner of my room mirror, even in reflections of passing buses. She's always looking at me. Sometimes she smiles. Sometimes she cries blood. And the scariest part? I still love her. I stopped going to mile 12. I deleted the sketches, burned the gifts, threw out the leftover plantains in my kitchen. But the dreams didn't stop. In one dream, I found myself standing in a dim, abandoned house, rotting wood, broken windows, the air thick with mildew and the smell of something dead. A single candle burned on the floor, and next to it, her scarf. The yellow one she always wore in the market. That same scarf showed up in my laundry basket the next morning. I live alone. I tried to pray. I tried to fast. I even booked a hotel for a few days, hoping distance would help. But the second night in that hotel, the receptionist called my room and said, "Sir, your wife says she forgot her earrings. Can she come up now?" "I don't have a wife," I replied. There was silence on the line. "She's already by the door." I froze. I didn't open it. I sat on the floor and prayed till morning. When I got home, my neighbor, Mama Titi, was waiting outside. She handed me a red Bible, thick with dust and tied with a black thread. "She won't leave you," she said, "because you touched her heart when it was already buried." I begged her to explain me into her home, small, quiet, smelling of palm oil and old incense. She pulled out a folder of old newspaper cuttings. One headline read, "Market girl drowns in storm body recovered days later." Another, "Locals blame river spirits for mysterious deaths in Alapere Canal." The photo was blurry, water damaged, but the smile was unmistakable. Flora. "Flora didn't just die," Mama Titi said. "She was never meant to stay dead. She's Idenkem, one of those who can return if their soul still holds I thought she was crazy, until she showed me the last cutting an obituary page. Date of death, 9 months ago. Date of burial, 3 months ago. Place, Alapere. The same month Flora started talking to me. "Did you ever meet her aunt?" Mama Titi asked. "No," I replied. "She always says it." "She doesn't have an aunt," Mama Titi said softly. "That house in Alapere? It's been abandoned for a..." I didn't believe her. I had to see for myself. It was around 7:40 p.m. The road was wet. The wind carried a cold, salty smell, like the sea was watching. The house was exactly how I'd seen it in the dream. wooden, worn down with faded blue paint peeling off the walls. But what truly chilled me was this: her yellow scarf, hanging on the gate, tied in a knot, like it was waiting for me. I pushed the gate open. It screamed like a warning. Inside, the air was heavier than anything I'd ever breathed. There were no signs of life, no dishes, no curtains, no furniture, just a single stool in the middle of the sitting room and a picture frame leaning against the wall. I picked it up. It was me and Flora at the market, but we had never taken a picture. Suddenly, I heard it. Her voice, soft, echoing. "You came." My heart nearly stopped. I turned. She was standing at the top of the staircase, barefoot, dressed in white, water. "I knew you'd come," she said again. "Because you promised." My legs wouldn't move. My lips opened, but no words came out, because her eyes were bleeding. I wanted to run, but my legs refused. She was standing at the top of the stairs, pale, glowing softly like moonlight on water, her hair on the dusty steps. Her white gown clung to her, soaked as if she had just climbed out of a river. "Do you still love me?" she asked. Her voice didn't echo anymore. It was clearer now, closer. I took one shaky step backward, and the floor beneath me creaked like it might collapse. She tilted, smiling gently, like the old Flora I knew. Then something changed. Her smile trembled, her lips split, and blood poured out, not from her mouth, from her eyes, from her ears, even from her fingertips. I gasped. What are you?" She stepped down the stairs, each foot making no sound. "You said you'd never leave me," she whispered. "You said I was the only one." The lights in the house flickered. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I grabbed it like it was a weapon, a missed call from unknown. Then a message popped up on the screen. "If you leave, she will follow. If you stay, you belong to her." I dropped the phone. Flora was now standing just a few feet from me. Her skin looked cracked like old porcelain with water dripping from the seams. Her eyes weren't eyes anymore. They were two dark pits, swirling with tiny screams I could almost hear. "I loved you," she said. "I still do." "You're not real," I muttered. "You're not supposed to be here." "I'm not the only one who came back." 2 nights ago, while I slept, my window slowly opened on its own. A pale stood over my bed. She wasn't alone. There were others, shadows, shapes, spirits with human faces, some with no face at all, watching me, waiting. Back to present. "I never wanted to hurt you," Flora said, "but they won't let me go unless I bring someone with me." My blood ran cold. Was a trade. She didn't just come back to see me. She came back to replace herself. That's when I saw the red thread. Tied to her wrist, leading all the way into the floor. "What is that?" I asked. She looked down, smiled sadly. "It's the promise, the blood oath." Suddenly the walls began to shake. Voices, dozens, hundreds, crying, screaming, chanting in a language I couldn't understand. Flora stepped forward, her feet no longer touching the floor. "You said your heart was mine," she said. "And now, it is." The candle in the corner of the room goes out by itself. Darkness swallows everything. A single whisper cuts through the silence. "Stay." I don't remember how I got out of that house. 1 minute, the room was dark, filled with voices. The next, I woke up on the ground beside the canal, soaked to the bone, with mud on my shirt and a dead rat floating inches from my face. My phone was gone. My wallet too, but tied around my wrist was the same red thread. I yanked it off and threw it into the canal. That night, I didn't go home. I went to a church I barely knew a run. The pastor didn't ask questions. He just looked at me and said, "You've crossed paths with the ones that whisper from under the river." He asked me to describe her. When I said her name, Flora, the old man dropped the Bible in his hand. "You said Flora?" "Yes." "From mile 12, rubbed his face slowly. I buried her, with my own hands. Aunt begged me to bless the body, even though the corpse wasn't whole. I blinked. "But she's not buried. She's with me." "No," he said firmly. "She's not." The day of Flora's burial, her coffin was closed, her body waterlogged, missing fingers. During the final rites, thunder struck, and the coffin cracked open for a second. People swore they saw her blink. The coffin was resealed. Quickly. The pastor led me into a small room. There were photos on the wall, old ones of smiling women with plantain baskets on their heads. All of them looked eerily like Flora. "This spirit has worn many names," he said, "but the market is where she feeds." I stepped. "She eats hope, love, promise. Men like you are her favorite." The room started to spin. He handed me a white chalk and a bottle of thick oil. "When she returns, don't run. Mark your door. Keep your back to the mirror. And whatever you do, don't answer her if she knocks." At my apartment, 307. The night was silent. Too silent. I had placed chalk lines around every entrance. My Bible was open to Psalm 91. My hands trembled as I poured the oil in a circle around my bed. Then came the first knock. Knock. Soft. Delicate. Like hers. I froze. Eyes wide open. I didn't move. Then a whisper came from the keyhole. "You forgot my plantains." I almost screamed. Another knock. Louder. Then another. Then laughter. It wasn't hers anymore. It was deep, broken, wet. Then the door unlocked itself. The door had unlocked itself. I didn't touch it. I didn't move. I just stared. The knob turned slowly, creaking, almost like a neck twisting in the dark. But the door didn't open. Instead, I heard footsteps. Not outside. Behind me. I turned, slowly, and what I saw next shattered everything I thought was real. It was my mirror. But the reflection was wrong. In the mirror, the room was still. But I wasn't in it. Flora was. She stood exactly where I stood in my shirt, in my space. But she was smiling, calm. Her eyes were whole again. Her dress wasn't wet. She lifted her hand. So did I, but I wasn't controlling it. The mirror was. And then she spoke, not with her mouth, but from inside the glass. "This was never about love, baby. It was about returning home. And now, you're the door." The lights flickered. Then suddenly, everything flipped. I wasn't in my room anymore. I was inside the mirror. The air was thick like smoke, but tasteless. The colors were faded. My voice echoed before I could even speak. And outside the window, the world was frozen, like time had stopped. I tried to shout, but no sound came out. Then I saw them. Others. Men, women, some familiar, some strangers. All of them staring into mirrors from the other side. All of them screaming silently, trapped. Flora stood in front of me now. Her hair floated like she was underwater. Her arms opened. "You made a promise," she said. I remembered. It was the 3rd week we were dating. She had asked, "Would you die for me?" I had laughed and said, "Of course." Now she was collecting. Back in the real world, my body stood still, eyes blank. Flora's spirit wore me like a jacket, smiling with my face, blinking with my eyes. She stepped over the chalk line like it didn't exist, picked up my Bible, closed it, then whispered to the air, "Your heart is mine." In the mirror dimension, I look out from behind the glass, banging, shouting, unseen. On the other side, I, no longer me, is preparing plantains on the kitchen tune Flora used to hum in the market. But the face in the mirror, it's cracking, and behind me, other trapped souls begin to gather. One of them turns and whispers, "Don't worry, we all loved her too." The mirror was bleeding. A narrow crack of light opened before me, a final chance to escape the mirror world. But the voices around me were screaming louder now. The trapped souls clawed at the walls. And behind me, Flora stood quietly, watching. Not angry, not violent, just heartbroken. "Leave if you must," she whispered. "But remember, love makes a promise, and promises demand blood." I looked back one last time. I saw her for who she really was. A girl who had died too soon. A soul twisted by loneliness. Want revenge, she wanted to be remembered. But I couldn't stay, because if I did, my mother would take my place, and she had nothing. I ran. I ran toward the mirror with everything inside me. The moment I touched the crack, I felt something tear from itself. I screamed as I passed through the bleeding frame, and then the church 3:07 a.m. landed hard. The church was dark, lit only by candlelight. The pastor and Mama Titi stood over me, both praying loudly, pouring oil on my chest, shouting scriptures. I couldn't speak. My eyes were open, but I saw nothing. My mouth moved, but the voice that came out wasn't mine. He made a promise, holds it still. My body convulsed. Blood poured from my nose. The pastor slammed a hand on my forehead and shouted, "Every spirit holding this boy, I break. Your covenant!" Suddenly my mouth opened and I let a shriek, a wail, something that shook the entire church, and then silence. 3 days later, I woke up in a white room, weak, dizzy, free. Mama Titi sat by the bed, holding my hand. "She's gone," she whispered, but not without a fight. 1 month later, deliverance retreat. I spent 14 days on a mountain, praying, fasting, vomiting out black threads, seeing visions of Flora every time I closed my eyes. But by the end, the thread around my wrist turned to ash, and I knew the bond was finally broken. Now I avoid mirrors at night. I no longer visit mile 12. Sometimes I see plantain, sellers, and feel my heart twist, but I walk away. Not because I don't love, but because love without discernment can open doors no man should walk through. Flora was real. Her story was tragic. But some souls aren't meant to stay. And I've learned, not every woman who smiles at you in the market is alive.
It was supposed to be just a vigil. Nothing special, just one of those night prayers they hold when the month is about to end. The kind your neighbor invites you to because God fit talk your matter tonight, go. But NEPA had taken light for 3 days straight, and my rechargeable lamp had died since morning. No TV, no fan, no peace. So when Mama Nkechi knocked on my door at 6:42 p.m., wearing finished fighting one demon, I nodded before she even finished talking. "A crossover vigil," she said. "One night only. You go come back new." "New, Abi," I smiled. Maybe I even needed that. The church no get signboard. Just one half-finished building in the middle. No windows, just curtains. They called in the Holy Revival Ark. As I entered, one usher with long gown and serious forehead looked at me from head to toe. "Drop your phone for the offering bowl," he said. I froze. "Sorry?" Nothing worldly allowed. Even ring, wristwatch, or chewing gum, drop 'em. I chuckled. I thought he was joking, until he pointed to one guy at the back where they sweep floor barefoot. "That one wear earpiece last week, he still they sweep since." Omo. I dropped my phone. Inside was packed. People they pray, they shout, they roll for ground. The air smelled of sweat, anointing oil out wearing all white. His eyes red linked in daze. He looked straight at me. Not the crowd me. "You," he said, voice loud like thunder. "The Lord said you carry secret sin." Everybody turned. Even the woman where they cry before paused to look. I almost laugh. Me? Secret sin? Bro, I no even get data this month, the sin be that? But something about the way his eyes glowed made my stomach twist. They started the vigil with the chain-breaking prayer, 3 hours, no sitting. Just shout your past sins until you start crying. One guy confessed to stealing meat from pot in 1990, how she lied to her landlord about school fees. When it reached my turn, I laughed it off and said, I know too get sin like Una. The pastor smiled, but it wasn't a good smile. You dey lie, he whispered, and the walls know. After the final worship, I looked around for the exit. I was tired, hungry, and low-key, ready to go back to my boring, hot room. That's when I noticed something. There was only one door, the same one I came through, but it wasn't there anymore. Instead, there was a different door, wooden, narrow, and carved with symbols I no understand. The usher appeared beside me. That's your way out, he said. You're clean now. I stepped forward and opened it and stepped into my room, my exact room. Same broken fan, same bedsheet, same jollof stain on the curtain. But something felt off. There was no sound. Outside, no generator hum, no dogs barking, no Mama Ifeoma shouting. Silence. I turned around. The door was gone, and in its place, written on my wall with what looked like charcoal, was one sentence. Confess what you refuse to say, or start again. And then the light blinked. The bulb in my room flickered twice, and I heard singing. That same choir from the vigil. But I was in my room. I checked my wall clock. It was 6:42 p.m., the exact time Mama and Kechi had knocked. Then I heard the knock again. You ready for the vigil? A voice said from outside. My phone was back in my pocket, the battery full. The same usher now standing outside my door like nothing happened. Omo, what kind vigil be this? I no fit lie. My body they sweat, but cold they catch me. I looked around my room again. Everything looked the same, but the air felt heavy, like when rain won't fall, but the clouds never open. Then that voice came again, this time from inside my bathroom. Confess. I jumped. Hello? Who they there? No answer, just slow dripping water from the bathroom tap, way I swear I locked since morning. I picked up my phone. Still 6:42 p.m., still full battery, but no network, not even glow bar. I opened WhatsApp. All my chats deleted. Only one contact day for the list now. Holy Revival Arc, and under it the last message read, you skipped one, the one you buried. CN, I'm not even the only reasonable thing, run. I grabbed my slippers, opened my door, and boom, I was back inside the church. Same crowd, same sweat, same pastor with red eyes staring at me like I just stole tithe money. But now, everybody was singing one song, low and slow, like mourners. Talk what? I screamed. The pastor pointed again. There is something you did, and until you confess it, you go de loop. My knees got weak. I fell to the floor. But I no even remember anything. I shouted. The usher from before walked, close and whispered. Then think well, brother. Sin no day forget face. They dragged me to the front. One spotlight hit me like theater. Everybody else faded into shadows. I could only see the pastor, the mic, and one empty chair in the middle of the altar. They told me to sit. Then, one after the other, people from my past started walking in. First was Amaka. She sat beside me, looking just like the last day I saw her. Tears in her eyes. You never told anyone what you did, she said. I gasped. Amaka, but you moved abroad. You're not even... She vanished. Then came Kunle, my old neighbor, the one that got arrested for stealing, but it wasn't him. You framed me, he whispered. My chest tightened. I didn't know they'd take it that far. He vanished too. I started crying. For real. Like deep from the soul, crying. Please, I begged the pastor. I'm sorry, I want to confess everything. Please, just let me go. The pastor looked at me with pity. It's not me you're confessing to. The wall is waiting. I turned. To the wall. The same one that had the charcoal writing before. Now it had turned into a mirror, and my reflection was smiling. But I wasn't. Then the mirror cracked. Not shattered, just cracked in a perfect circle. The kind of crack that looks like a door. Behind it I could hear my mum singing softly, that same lullaby she used to sing when I had nightmares. I stood there, staring at my door. The red glow wasn't normal light. It pulsed like a heartbeat, like something inside the house was alive and waiting. I looked around my compound. Neighbors' houses looked the same, but somehow older, faded. Walls, rusty gates. Even the mango tree beside my fence looked dried up. I knocked on my own door. Knock, knock. Silence. I turned the handle and entered. The room was pitch dark. Then the bulb came on without NEPA. My heart started to pound, because sitting on my bed was me, but not me now. Younger me, secondary school me. The one with skinny neck and oversized house shirt. He was holding a Bible in one hand and a bloodied envelope in the other. "Sit down," he said, without looking up. I couldn't move. He looked at me with tears in his eyes. "You remember what happened that night after fellowship, with Mummy Doyen's phone?" My chest tightened. "No, not that. Not that memory. I told you not to lie," younger me said. "But you did, and now the lie has grown wings." The mirror on the wall cracked. Again. This time, instead of a reflection, I saw scenes like a film. Me, age 16, alone in the church office, finding that phone, opening things I shouldn't have opened, forwarding things I shouldn't have forwarded. That small mistake had caused one woman to lose her marriage, a scandal, a breakdown. And I had buried it so deep, even I forgot, but the ark didn't forget. I fell to my knees. "God, I beg," I sobbed. "I no even remember how bad it be. I was just a child. I thought it was small. I thought." A loud knock echoed from outside. Again, then a voice. "Are you ready now?" I rushed to the window. This time it wasn't Mama and Kechi, it was my father. But he died 2 years ago. He was wearing the same white clothes from his burial photo. He didn't smile, he just stared. "You must complete the loop," he said, "or the door never closes." Then the wall peeled open. Yes, peeled. Like paper. Behind. It was that same church again, same curtain, same floor. But this time, empty. No members, no pastor. Just rows of old wooden chairs and one big black Bible in the center, open on. I stepped forward. I had no phone, no slippers. No idea if I was awake or dreaming. But I knew one thing. I had to finish this vigil, even if it killed me. As I touched the Bible, it closed itself, and behind me the door slammed shut. One candle lit up on its own, and a voice whispered, soft but close. "Welcome back. Confession begins now." The candle flickered, then another lit up, and another, until the whole church was glowing with orange flames, but the kind that don't burn. Just watch. Yes. The candles were watching me. Their flames tilted any time I moved, like eyes following my every step. Then the Bible opened itself again. Pages fluttered like it was being blown by a breeze that only it could feel. It stopped on one page. Blank. No chapter. No verse. Just my full name written in red ink. Ifeanyi C. Oathbreaker. My chest tightened. Oathbreaker? Me? When? And that's when I heard my voice. But from the altar. I turned. There I was again, but this time in full white. Face blank. Eyes glowing. I spoke, but not with my mouth. The altar version of me raised his hand, and a loud voice echoed through the church. "You vowed," under breath, with tears, "and still you broke it." Suddenly I remembered age 17, after my mother was sick. I'd prayed and cried and shouted into the night. "God, if you heal her, I swear I go serve you forever. No lies, no games, just you." And he did, but I didn't. The moment she got better, I ghosted church, started clubbing, ran small Yahoo format, told myself it was just survival. That night, I forgot the vow, but the ark didn't. "You'd carry too many broken promises," the altar version of me said. "That's why the door no go open." Then the walls started moving themselves into a circle around me. In the air, faces began to appear. Some I knew, some I didn't. All of them looked disappointed. All of them whispered, "Say the truth. Own it. Finish what you started." Then the Bible turned into a bowl of water. The voice returned. Drinks or repeat the loop again. I reached for the bowl. My hands were shaking like NEPA voltage. The water inside wasn't clear. It showed flashes, visions, memories I buried. That girl I lied to just to sleep with her. The fake CV I used to collect someone's internship. The money I found and never returned. The cousin I mocked behind his back but smiled to his face. I couldn't breathe. "I'm sorry," I whispered. The candles blew out. Everything went black. Then I opened my eyes, back in my room again. Normal room, fan working. Light bulb steady. Buzzing, 6:43 p.m. 1 minute later, I picked the phone. A text message. From an unknown number. "Well done. Confession received, but one sin remains. The one you committed in your dreams." My phone powered off, and the door creaked open on its own. Outside was not my compound anymore. It was the church again, but this time, it was upside down. I stood at the door of my room, staring into the upside-down church. Yes, upside down. The pews were hanging from the ceiling like bats. The pulpit was above my head. Candles stood straight, but their flames pointed down, yet somehow, it didn't fall. Gravity didn't care anymore, and neither did I. I took one step forward and my leg rose. Omo, no joke, I was walking up, like saying a spiritual moonwalk. My body was doing backflip I didn't sign up for. By the time I reached the altar, which was now above my head, everything went still. Then came the voice. That same soft whisper that always sounded like it was beside me, even when no one was there. "Your sin in sleep is the one you fear in waking." Suddenly, the floor beneath my feet turned into glass. I looked down and saw myself, sleeping on my bed, peacefully. Then, the scene started playing like a movie, me tossing and turning. Then I sat up, eyes wide open but still asleep. I stood, walked to my drawer, pulled something out, a piece of paper. Then I opened my wardrobe and... Omo. I froze. There was a journal. One I didn't recognize, hidden between my old school clothes. Watched sleeping me open it and flip to the last page. "Operation Burn Everything Plan if..." But I didn't remember writing that. Then I saw the worst part, a name list. People I hated, people I envied, even my own cousin, and my heart pounded. No, I never planned this, I never... But the dream version of me kept going. He folded the paper, lit a match, burnt it, then climbed back into bed, smiling. Back in the upside-down church, thunder cracked, lightning flashed across the walls. The voice returned. "You think because you didn't remember, you didn't act. You think sins of the mind don't leave fingerprints? You entered with secrets, you'll leave with scars, or not at all." Suddenly the candles turned black. Not off just black flames. And every flame whispered something I had thought before but never said aloud. I wish he failed. She doesn't deserve that promotion. I'm better than all of them. God, no, go judge me, I'm trying now. Just this one time, na survival. The flames grew louder, echoing those words like chant. My ears rang, I covered my face, and then silence. When I opened my eyes, the church was gone. I was sitting in a chair, a real one this time. Opposite me, on another chair, was a small boy. About 10, barefoot, dusty face. But his eyes were too old for his body. He handed me a mirror. "This is who you are when no one is watching." I looked and screamed, because the person in the mirror wasn't me, it was the pastor from the vigil. Red eyes, white robe, tired face. But this time, the reflection spoke. "You've been judging others," while the boy stood up and pointed to a door behind him. My last chance. I could feel it in my bones. "If you go through that one, you can wake up," he said, behind, forever. I looked at the door, then back, in the mirror, and the pastor in the reflection winked. I no-go lie. My legs no-day stable again. The moment that small, barefoot boy pointed at the door, my heart started to misbehave like generator with bad fuel. The mirror in my hand? Still they show that pastor. But now, he was smiling wider, in bleeding from the eyes. "You day close," the boy whispered, "but everything you take through that door will haunt you. Unless you pay the price." I turned to him slowly. Which price? He shrugged like saying a pure water matter. Memory, regret, or someone you love. A confession. This was transaction. I walked to just plain wood, no design, no lock. But the moment I touched it, everything changed. The candles went off, the chair disappeared. And that small boy. He started. In front of my eyes, the boy began to stretch, his arms, his legs, his neck. Towering over me, face hidden in shadow. When he spoke again, his voice was no longer a whisper. Confession earns entry. Sacrifice opens the door. Then he stepped back into the dark and vanished. I turned the handle. The door opened with a sound like thunder rolling through inside. Omo, na room. My room. Again. But this time, everything was reversed. The bed was on the ceiling, my clothes folded backward, my wall clock moving anti-clockwise. The calendar, now still today's date, but 2014. I stepped inside. Boom. I was wearing my old school uniform. Stained. White shirt. Loose khaki trousers. My phone rang. I looked down. BlackBerry Curve 3. That same one-way ID used to borrow airtime like oxygen. I picked. Fix what you did in 2014, you'll wake up clean. If not, the Ark will claim your memory forever. I dropped the phone. Melt. Walls dripping like hot flames were freezing everything. Then I heard footsteps outside my window. Knock, knock, knock. Bros, you day ready for vigil? It was Mama Nkechi's voice. Again. It's 42 p.m. Again. The end. Loop was closing in. I ran to the door, grabbed the handle and screamed, I confess everything. I lied, I stole, I hurt people and never looked back, and after he helped me, Suddenly everything stopped. Silence. I was standing in a white room, completely empty. No candles, no white room, completely empty. No candles, no clock, just one mirror on the wall. I walked up to it, and for the first time, I saw myself. Just me. Tired. Wounded myself. Just me. Tired. Wounded. Behind me, a door creaked open. I turned. Bright light. Voices singing. I took a step forward, and as I crossed the threshold, the moment I stepped through that final door, the light swallowed me like floodlight on blackout night. I squeezed my eyes shut, and when I opened them, I was back in church. But not the Holy Revival Ark. This one was different. The air smelled clean. There were no sweat-stained benches, no screaming ushers, no red-eyed pastor. Just soft organ music in the background, and sunlight pouring through stained glass windows like peace in liquid form. A woman in all white walked up to me. Her face was gentle, familiar, too familiar. Mummy? Yes, it was my mother, but younger, healthier. Smiling like she did before the hospital visits took it all, she touched my face. You've gone far, Ifeanyi, but you haven't come back yet. I tried to hug her. She stepped back. Not until you meet the one who sent you. A door opened at the front of the church. Light didn't pour out of this one. Darkness did. Cold, deep, complete. Something moved inside. Something breathing. Something waiting. My mother pointed. Go! I swallowed hard. Who's inside? She looked at me and said just one word. You. I stepped into the dark, and the door closed behind me. No light, no sound, just presence. Then a match struck, one small light, revealing one small bench, and sitting on that bench was me, but not scared me. This was cold me, no emotions, no regrets, just calm, like somebody we no get anything to lose again. He smiled. Finally, he said, You're here, I stared. Here where? The place you built, he said. Every secret you buried, every truth you twisted, every prayer you faked, every person you used, all of them built this place. I'm not your shadow, I'm not your sin, I'm your realest self. I backed away. No, I've confessed. I've cried. I passed through fire, through loop, I'm clean. He stood up. Clean, and doesn't mean whole. You think confession is enough? But you never asked for forgiveness. Not from them, not from yourself. Then he raised his hand, and around us, floating in the darkness, appeared all the people I hurt. Amaka, Kunle, that girl I ghosted after lies, That cousin I mocked, even the fake names on the Yahoo formats I used, their photos, their pain, their voice notes, all there. You want to wake up? Cold me asked. Then let's do it properly. Let's finish it where it started. He reached into the dark and pulled out a Bible and a cutlass, handed both to me. Pick one. One opens your freedom, the other, your judgment. I looked at both. My hand reached for the Bible. But my heart was reaching for the cutlass because part of me didn't just want freedom, it wanted revenge on myself. The Bible in one hand, the cutlass in the other, and my own darker self staring me down like Judgment Day had a face. The silence was loud. I looked at him, didn't cry, didn't feel guilt, didn't beg God that would happily burn the world if it meant hiding the ashes of his sins. Why this choice? I asked. Why give me these two? He shrugged, calm as ever. Because deep down, you still want to cut corners. You still want escape, not trap the door open. Now all my compound people are taking turns entering to console me, or laugh. One even said, Cola, next time just marry Bible. I sat there, shirtless, with icing in my hair and emotional damage in my soul. Someone from Block C walked in and dropped a sachet of water beside me saying, "Oh yeah, drink, brus, before you faint and become compound sacrifice." I couldn't talk. I just nodded like a baptized mosquito. As I stood up to clean myself, my phone rang. Caller ID. Baby G. Ah, Baby G, I forgot to mention her. Wait, who is Baby G? Baby G is Gloria. My third leg of the triangle, the one I kept off social media, off WhatsApp, strictly Snapchat and Telegram. Lagos babe with curves that can cause visa rejection. I only see her on weekdays, when Bisola is at work and Cynthia is busy frying catfish. That day. I hadn't seen her in 2 weeks. So why was she calling? I ignored it. She called again, then texted, "I'm outside." Surprise. I dropped my phone. I screamed. I ran. Cell PM. A full Nigerian season. Finale peeped through my window. Sighed. Looking like Valentine in human form. Red dress, golden heels, cake box in one hand. iPhone on the other. I had two options. Jump the fence like a criminal. Option. Hide inside my wardrobe like Joseph in Potiphar's house. Into that tiny space, I heard her voice. Cola! My heart started playing Zanku. I stayed quiet. But gettering spirit. Inhuman. Gloria, you're the third one today. Oh, the other two don't beat him well. Come, let me show you the cane marks. Gloria enters. My life exits. She barged into my room, saw the broken cake, saw the balloons, saw the cane on the floor. Was this supposed to be my surprise party too? She sat down. She didn't shout. She didn't cry. She just said, "Cola, come out. I won't beat you. I just want to talk." And you know what they say. When a Nigerian woman says she won't beat you, you better Then I heard something even scarier than her voice. Another knock. A door. My spirit almost left permanently. How do I explain that I wasn't dead, just hiding from 3 girlfriends, 1 cane, and a cake curse? Police! Open this door! Inside that wardrobe, my breathing slowed. My soul started calculating bribe prices. Outside, Gloria screamed, "Officers, he's hiding! Inside this house like a criminal!" I heard the wooden door creak open. My landlord had used his spare key. "Ogo officer, come in. That boy Don caused enough wahala for 1 year. My enemies were now multiplying." The police stepped in. Boots, batons, body odor. "Where is Cola?" One barked. Gloria pointed at the wardrobe like Judas at the Last Supper. The officer yanked the wardrobe open. There I was, bent like boiled plantain, shirtless, eyes red from tears. My only words, "Officer, I no get strength, just carry me go." Inside. The station? I sat on a bench like a broken mannequin. The DPO looked at me and asked, "So, women beat you? And now you're the criminal?" I nodded. I couldn't even argue. Then Gloria stepped forward. "Sir, I just want to say something before you release him." I looked up. Maybe she came to forgive me. Maybe love would win. She reached into her bag, pulled out a small brown envelope, dropped it on the table, then dropped the bombshell. "That's his DNA test result. He's the father of my baby. Everything went silent, but continued. You remember that weekend in Lekki Phase 1 after we drank That was the night. I started sweating again. The coup. Officer looked at me. Oga Cola, how many more surprises remain today? My head spun, my body went numb. It was only 10:30 p.m. I had already been flopped, exposed, beaten, humiliated, and now daddified then. My phone vibrated unknown number. I picked up, shakily. Hello, Cola. It's Amaka. I'm outside your gate. I brought your favorite jollof and I want to talk about us. Amaka? Another babe? Even the police officers paused. One asked, Oga, are you running a branch of the Ministry of Women Affairs? Inside the police station, the room fell silent. Even mosquitoes paused mid-bite as I whispered, Amaka is here. With jollof. The DPO squinted at me like he was watching an episode of Jennifer's Diary. How many girlfriends do you actually have, young man? Before I could reply, Gloria clapped back. Count with your fingers, then borrow your toes. Another started writing a comedy skit script. I was the joke. The jollof arrives, they let Amaka into the station. She walked in, glowing, confident, that I know something you don't look in her eyes. She dropped the foil pack of steaming jollof on the table, then looked at Gloria, then looked at me. Then she dropped a small nylon bag beside the rice and said, That's not all I brought. My mouth was dry. My soul said, Bro, run! She pulled out a pair of baby shoes. Wait, baby number 2. I started laughing. Not normal laughter. That type of painful, spiritual, I don't believe this is my life laughter. Another baby? Amaka smiled. Congratulations, Daddy of Lagos. Gloria stood up. Excuse me? I thought I was the only one carrying his child. Amaka replied with a wicked grin. You thought wrong. While you were snapping pregnancy tests, I was busy collecting his real DNA, and I'm 2 months ahead of you. The police officers were now fully invested in the drama. One whispered, This is better than Anikulapo, and then... Cola, this is not normal. Are you sure these women are not working together? Suddenly everything started to connect in my head. Same birthday surprise timing, back-to-back arrivals, DNA tests, baby shoes. I turned to all of them. Wait. Is this a setup? They looked at each other and smiled. Gloria said, You were traveling to Ibadan for your cousin's wedding. I nodded, slowly. Amaka added, You told me the same story. Same cousin, same date. Bisola, who had just walked back in, yes, she came back, chimed in. And me too. Same Ibadan. Same lie. It hit me. These women had been talking to each other, working together. This wasn't revenge. It was a Kawan-style takedown. And then... The door opened again. A soft voice said, Is this the police station? We all turned. Cynthia. She had returned too. She entered, took one look at the room, saw the cake stain on my head. The baby. Shoes the jollof and calmly asked, Has he confessed? Cynthia sat down like a judge. Cola, welcome to your judgment day. Call it Court of the Chopped Ladies. The others nodded. Bisola pulled out a projector remote. Where did she get it? A small portable projector lit up the wall. Slide. 1. Cola's Hall of Lies, an investigative breakdown. I tried to stand, the DPO signaled. Sit down and face your sins. They took turns reading. Bisola. On March 2nd, you said you were at a company retreat. We found you at Mr. Biggs in Surulere, buying food with Gloria, Cynthia. April 5th, you told me your uncle died. But we saw your tagged Insta story at Amaka's place, wearing matching pajamas. Gloria. While you were praying and fasting. For clarity in Lekki, you were actually kissing Bisola on Snapchat. We screen recorded it. Amaka. And those 2 babies you thought were yours. Yeah, they're not. We faked it. Welcome to Emotional Damage, Inc. I collapsed. Like a failed NEPA transformer, mentally, spiritually, maritally. I was finished. Cynthia leaned forward. We knew you were a player, but you disrespected all of us, equally. So we came together, not for drama, but for closure. Gloria stood. We're not here to destroy you. That would be too easy, Amaka added. We're here to teach you. A masterclass in heartbreak, taught by 4 professors. Then Bisola stood, walked over, and dropped a small wrapped box on my lap. "Happy birthday, Cola. This is your real surprise." I opened it slowly, hoping maybe it was peace offering, or perfume, or at least chewing gum. It was a mirror with a note that read, "Look inside. That's the clown of the year.